Welcome to the Write Your Own Story podcast. I'm your host, Betsy Leonidas, and the founder of the Write Your Own Story company. Girl, I can tell you right now, you are definitely enough. Here we value service, sisterhood, connection, laughter, and that super genuine, keep it real, tell you like it is honesty. My hope is at the end of each episode, you realize you can do whatever it is you dream about and that you are not alone with what you struggle with. I'm hoping that you are snapping and clapping and hell yes in your way through each one of these episodes. So if this tracks with you, let's get started. I'm so glad you're here. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the latest episode of the Write Your Own Story podcast. I am your host, Betsy Leonidas, and I am so excited to be here with Jackie Barnes. Jackie, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, well, thank you.
When you pitched to be on the show and when we talked about the concept, I was like, this is really fascinating. So today, I really want to talk about looking at your home, looking at it differently, how you can look at it as like a place of source of peace and comfort and joy versus just sort of this like perfect, clean expression of who you are. And you are such a talented designer. I was like a deep into your Instagram. And my design friends are always like, I know her. She's amazing. So I'm just so excited that we get to connect. And I just love that you wanted to talk about this specific aspect of design, because I think now more than ever, we are craving that feeling of peace, and it is totally attainable.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's very easy to be caught up in what we should be doing.
Yeah.
There's so much inspiration out there, good and bad, from Pinterest and Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, Instagram is just, all... There's so much stuff out there, but I think that it's really important to know that those are staged spaces.
Right? Thank you for saying that. That is genuinely the definition of a highlight reel.
Yeah. It's those are staged spaces that took literally hours of time from professionals that know what they're doing, and a photographer with the exact right light. It's kind of like comparing yourself to a Sports Illustrated bikini model.
Oh my God, yes.
That's not real.
Oh my God, that just gave me all the permission to just love my house just as it is.
I mean, and I said that we all live in these houses. This is totally fine. People, I go to so many homes, and people are feel intimidated, I think.
Totally.
When they sometimes work
I was
with
like,
a designer.
girl, you better clean.
No, that's the way we live. And actually, it's really nice to see the way people live, because if there are a lot of things out and people don't want that, then we need to provide you more storage spaces and storage options and solutions for those kinds of things. So it's really nice actually to see how people really live in their homes, because we have to get to know you also to be able to start working together. It's an incredibly intimate process and relationship that we're honored to be a part of. And this is your sacred space. These are your personal finances. And we need to establish a really good understanding of who you are and what you want before we sort of dive in.
God, I think that is such a holistic view of like, it is so less about like, let me show you my work and my vision and how that fits in your home. And you're just like, let me show me what your home is and what it means to you and what you need. And then let me, help you express that.
Right. We need to, really get to know the people who we're working with, and then we take their vision and then we elevate that. Yeah. So I always say that it's such an honor for people to come over to your home and then say, oh my gosh, your house looks so great. Now, if they would say, oh, this is Jackie Barnes' design, that we didn't do our job. Yeah. We would not have done our job. Now, of course, we do have some signature style things here and there, but it really needs to reflect you and your family and the way you live here and your daily routines and what you want to do in this house. So it's really all about that.
I love that. And I think that gives people the confidence to be like, yeah, no, this is like, I don't want just is the Sports Illustrated model version.
Right.
Because it's not sustainable, attainable, all the words that end in "-able."
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I remember, so one of my best friends is an interior designer in Miami, and he has the most insane kitchen that he did. And for his photo shoot, so we worked in advertising together. So we love like behind the scenes. There's literally a leaf blower making the curtains billow.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I was like, so smart. Love that. Where's my leaf blower? I just need someone standing outside my home making my curtains billow. Yeah. But it's like you said, it's the Sports Illustrated perfectly angled,
Yeah.
perfectly shiny.
And that's really no fun, actually. I mean,
Yeah.
you think you really want that, but
Yeah.
then nobody wants to be super worried about their house and it being,
Yeah.
messed up or destroyed or
Right.
anything like
No
that. It's
touching.
like, yeah, that's not fun. That's not life.
Yeah.
Life is messy. Life is loud,
Yes.
and things are going to happen. And you can have some spaces that are that way, but
Totally.
not the entire house. It's
Yeah.
just not real.
I need everything in my home to be able to take a joke.
Yeah.
If you can't laugh it off,
Yes.
you can't
Yes.
hang.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let's take a step back. I am obsessed with your background. So you
Oh,
started as a mental health professional
I
and then
did.
translated and then decided to get into design. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I had always been interested in fashion and design
Cool.
and in high school.
Yeah.
And I wanted to take an elective class through the home ec department. And it was on fashion design and interior design. And I was so excited. And I showed my roster of classes to my mom. And she's like, no, I think you need to take more math and science classes. I'm not really sure about that.
Yeah.
And it's not because she didn't want me to express myself or anything. She just didn't understand what that was. I mean, this was back in the mid 90s.
Right. She's like, what are you going to do with that?
Right, exactly.
Totally.
Yeah. So instead of that elective, I chose psychology,
Mm-hmm.
and I really did love that as well. I was fascinated with how people, or why they do what they do, how they're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I just really loved understanding about people
And human behavior.
Yes.
Okay, I totally relate to that. That's why I got into advertising.
Yeah.
As much as I love TV shoots and all that stuff, what I really love is like the insight that sits behind it for why
Right.
people behave the way they do, why they have certain needs, etc.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That two people, you can go two really different paths
Yeah.
for similar passion, but yes,
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just people just fascinated me always, whether
Yeah.
it was individual behavior or group behavior.
Mhm.
So then I went to Xavier University and I majored in psychology. And then I got a job right out of college at Beach Acres. And then I transferred over to Children's Hospital. And I worked at Children's Hospital for 19 years in
Wow.
the psychology department there.
Yeah.
And I was in charge of doing long-term behavior research projects.
Oh, cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
I had amazing supervisors, a lot of just really, I learned something new every day. And
what a
I
gift.
loved that.
Yeah.
And about people.
Yeah.
And I got to work with a lot of people that came through Children's Hospital and their kids. And it was such a rewarding career.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was. And then I went to University of Cincinnati and I got my master's in sociology just because
cool.
I'm a nerd. I just need to learn.
Same.
I love learning.
Love learning.
I just didn't want to stop doing that. So I then finally got to a point where I had a lot of seniority. I was doing great.
Mhm.
I was just really kind of like floating along,
Mhm.
and I wasn't really being challenged.
Mm.
I was, not to toot my own, I was really good at my job. I did it.
You can say that out loud.
I could do that.
Yeah.
I can do this. But to think about having to go to work and leave my family and I just had this creative itch that was
Yes.
not being scratched.
Isn't that like that? I just want to pause on that for 1 second because you can be genuinely fulfilled.
Mhm.
You're like, I love to learn. I get to learn every day. I have supportive supervisors. My career support, I've moved up the ranks. I am great at this. It feels really good to be good at something, doesn't it?
It felt awesome.
Yet
Yeah.
I'm so genuinely impressed that you were like, but something's still missing.
Yeah.
And I do agree that we get to this point when kids come into the picture that the juice has to be worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
And it just the lens gets a little different.
Yeah.
And where you're like, if I'm going to leave all this at home, that's
Right.
deeply important to me.
Mhm.
Is it really like lighting you up?
Right.
Versus like making you just feel good.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think that like is such a relatable moment. And not everyone has been able to take the jump that you've taken. So you've just inspired a lot of people to be like, I really have this creative spark too.
I've heard a statistic not too long ago that most women-owned businesses don't really even start until they're in their 40s.
Yes, Chrissy Blatt said that on the show.
Okay, so I was going to say, I know, I told you I listened to this podcast.
I know, I love you so much for it.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
And I think you get to a point, I think we were talking about earlier about permission
Yeah.
and boundaries. And it's like, this isn't filling me anymore. And what I was doing, it was insane. Just to give you a little backstory. So when
Yes,
I
I
was
love
working
backstories.
at Children's, my kids were very young, and my son was born in October, and my daughter was born in March, and they were 2.5 years apart. And I would plan these birthday parties that were ridiculously. It was I think she was turning 4, and it was going to be a fairy party. And so what I did was I spent probably 3 months building a fairy garden out of Sculpey clay. And I set up my entire dining room table, and I baked all the things, and I had a dessert table, and I made her a dress from scratch. I made my own pattern. I sewed the dress. I then handmade a doll, made a dress to match her. It was just ridiculous. And my friends were like, "What? Are you okay?"
You're like, can't stop, won't
I
stop.
can't. I would stay up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and because it was my
For
time.
months. Oh, I get
Because
that.
it was my own time.
Yeah.
I was, I don't, it was just insane. And these birthday parties were crazy. And so people were like, you should do this.
Yeah.
You should do birthday parties.
Ooh.
And I was like, I don't think anybody could afford this level of attention. It was to detail. It was insane.
Yeah.
So I actually, that went on for a little while, and I was still feeling like I was reading a lot of blogs. Blogs were a big deal in the 90s because, Instagram really wasn't around. And so I was learning a lot about, and I was also nursing my daughter.
Yeah.
And I would just read blogs about people redoing their houses and things like that. So I got a lot of inspiration and, frankly, some education on, how people were doing that. And then I was on a retreat with a friend, and she's an architect, and still a friend, still an architect. And I just mentioned to her, I was like, if I could do anything else, the question I think was, if you could do anything else, what would you be doing? And I said, just don't laugh at me. But I think I'd like to own an interior design business. Do I need to go back to school? And she said, no, don't go back to school. I have a friend right now, or a client right now, who I designed their kitchen and their addition. And I have no interest in helping them choose their finishes or the lighting or their cabinet style or anything. Just call her up and see if that would be something you want to do. So
amazing.
I know, such a gift. And so I called her, and it was so awesome. And she actually paid me for my time. I mean, it was so little, but it was like, I can't believe that this is actually something I could do.
And you're like, I can get paid to do something this fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. And from there, it just kind of snowballed. And that was 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago. And it started in my home. And here we are. I mean, my husband is also an entrepreneur, so he really helped a lot and gave me a lot of pushes in the right direction.
Oh, it's so good.
Really nice.
Because don't you feel like entrepreneur talk for one sec, because it's always a tangent that I love to go down. It is really, truly just you. Even with the clients giving you the feedback that they love it so much, even with your architect friend who is like, you're doing it, even like there's so many moments where you could stall out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really hard, or sometimes you're like, I have decision fatigue and I just genuinely don't know what to do next. Or sometimes you're like, can I just take a month off and focus on my family, which you can.
Sure.
But like, there are just so many moments where you're like, I just need a break. I feel overwhelmed. But one of the things I also love about entrepreneurship is you can dial up and dial down. You can turn the volume down if you need a minute. Like I have the volume turned way down in May, especially the last couple of weeks. And the mini piles around my home are now they're all high.
It's Maycember.
It's Maycember. The mini piles are mini piling. And I've started to like my babysitter who comes in the summertime, and I was like, I have a whole section of mini piles waiting for her in the laundry room, because she sounds
invaluable.
She is invaluable as a human, as someone who helps me, as someone who loves my kids. So long story short, I just feel like I love that your husband gave you the pushes and the nudges. And I'm sure that you now do that for other people who are starting, because we don't know what we don't know. But when you start, you're like, oh, it's a little
it is daunting sometimes.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, I think that if somebody would have said, this is where you're going to be in 8 years, keep going, I would have been like, shut the front door.
Yeah.
There's no way. That's not even going to. However, I kind of only have 2 speeds.
Same girl, same. Oh my God, we're destined to be best friends.
I'm either a lump on a log or I'm running a marathon.
Yes.
It's just, I don't have
Yes.
really an in between.
Yes.
So it's actually been a journey for me to realize that I can step back.
Mm-hmm.
And I am learning that now. I have an incredibly capable team.
Mm-hmm.
Who we know we're going to go to Europe this summer for my family and I are going to go to summer trip, and we'll be gone for almost 3 weeks, and I'm
Good
not
for
worried
you.
about it.
Yeah.
It's so great. It feels really nice to be able to let go.
I love that for you. And then one quick entrepreneur question for you, and then we will get into more of the design and the mental health. But like when you talk about building such a high quality team, was there a moment where you were like, I know that I need to invest in people, which is going to affect my bottom line before I'm like, it's going to affect your profit margin, may even put you in the red for a little bit, but you know it's what you needed for growth? Or did you build it and you're like, okay, I'm making enough money where now I can afford a team?
I think the latter,
Yeah,
because it was just so much to do.
totally.
One person to do everything. I definitely have designer colleagues who they like it that way. They
Mhm.
like to be a solopreneur, and that's great.
Yeah.
I think everybody just kind of needs to do what they feel like is good for them.
Yeah.
I just knew that I wanted to start having a regular bedtime for myself, and I needed I needed help.
Absolutely.
I needed
Yeah.
help, but I do think that it's important to invest in really good people, not necessarily trained people to do what the role is, but actually good people.
Yeah.
I think it's just really important. This is my dream, and this is and you have a team who believes in your dream, and there's nothing better than that
Yeah.
too. It's just really special,
It
I
is really
think.
special.
But it's also important as an entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur, to separate yourself from that business. And even because the business literally is my name,
Yes.
that is not who I am.
Yeah.
And the business is its own thing. I also work for the business,
Yeah.
and they all work for the business, and we all share in those successes.
Yes.
But that's not me.
Yes. We were talking
Yeah.
about this before we started on camera too. Like at this age, we kind of come up for air around the people pleasing, et cetera. But like also to answer the question, who am I? So often we're like, oh, I'm a designer. I'm a podcast host. It's like, oh my God, that's not the answer.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
We could do a whole nother
Yep.
session on
Yes. I
female
know.
entrepreneurship.
And
Yeah.
now that
Yeah.
I know that you're so data heavy too, I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
yay.
Yeah. Yeah. For
But this
sure.
is so fun. But
Yeah.
okay, so then I took us on the most wild tangent. Thank you
I
for
love
hanging
it.
in there
I
with
love it.
me. But I love that you were like, okay, I'm great at my job. I'm fulfilled at my job. I'm interested in my job. But if I could do anything, and that heartstring was a lot louder, and you listened to it and you took the
Yeah.
leap. So I think that that's really cool.
Well, I just wanted to help people in a different way.
Yeah.
And I knew that I could do that.
Yeah.
And I knew that I could do that. Now, Children's is awesome, and they were an
Yeah.
amazing organization to work for, a company to work for. But I didn't the level at where I was. I was doing a good job. I was doing good work, but I didn't really have control
Mhm.
over how much I could do. So I was looking for that opportunity too. I wanted
Totally.
to have I knew I had more to give to others, and I wanted to be able to do that. And I think that was also another driving force
I
for
love
me to
that.
leave.
I think that is one of the harder parts about being in a larger organization, no matter what
Yeah.
you are, no matter how phenomenal of an organization it
Yeah.
is, you are still a piece of the puzzle.
Sure.
That
Yeah.
undervalues what people contribute. But to your point of like, you only have so much control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that and just watching these kids come to the hospital as
Mhm.
often as they did. And we did home visits, and we'd saw where they lived and things like that. And it was not fun, and it
Yeah.
was sad. And I knew that our surroundings really can make a huge impact on their mental health and their physical health, and at the very foundation of that, their safety.
Yes.
And I knew that I wanted to do more,
Yeah.
so that's
I love
kind
this.
of
So have
trickled
you,
out.
so you start your design business. Is sort of the impact on was this always a part of your business to be like how this
Yes.
affects you physically, mentally,
Yes.
emotionally?
Yes.
Okay.
I will say,
Yeah,
honestly, the first 6 months to a year, I didn't want anybody to know that I wasn't professionally trained.
I totally get that, which I mean,
I kind
you
of,
shouldn't care, but I understand why you
yeah,
care.
I mean, I kind of pushed that under the rug,
Mhm.
and I just was like, here I am. I'm on the scene. I'm an interior designer, and I wasn't being very authentic.
I get that. I
And
really
I was
do.
just really trying to fake it till I made it.
Mhm.
And I was doing fine.
Mhm.
But it wasn't until I started working with a business coach, and she's like, this
Ooh.
is what makes you different. This is
Ooh.
really what makes you different. I think you should think about how we can lean into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And which is why I started then being a little bit more vocal about, actually my background is in psychology. And this is why I think that we would be a good fit, or I could do a good work for you, and this is what I'm seeing in your home, and this is what I'm hearing when you're telling me what you don't love and what your challenges are, and how we can bring creative solutions to that through the lens of mental health and physical health. And we're going to make it beautiful, absolutely,
Yeah.
but it needs to be more meaningful than that. So
Yeah.
it was a great advice.
Is there anything better than when someone asks you where you got something and you're like, Amazon, can you believe it? It's like when someone says, oh, I love your dress, and you get to be like, it has pockets. I love Amazon because I can experiment with trends and activewear and fashion, beauty, and anything else I really want without having to break the bank. If you're like me and you get a little bit sad, okay, maybe more than a little bit sad, when there's no package at the door, then you are my people. Also, I think we might need help. But until then, visit amazon.com/shop/write your own story co, or click the link in the show notes to shop all my faves in fashion, beauty, home decor, organization, and more. These are treasures you're not going to want to miss. Are people even really tuned in to how their home makes them feel? Like,
No.
yeah. And how do you tune into that?
Well, I think it takes a minute. I think that it takes intention. I
Yeah.
think that you need to sit with it
Yeah.
for a minute.
Yeah.
Just really think about it. I think that we live in such a fast pace. Everyone's busy. I totally understand that.
Mhm.
We don't have a minute to really think about what we're doing.
Mm.
We're just getting on the train and going there.
Mhm.
I was talking to my marketing specialist, and she was talking about how she had gone to Costco, or not Costco. She went to Home Goods or
Yeah.
something like that, and she needed a table for her foyer, and she found a table, and she was like, "Oh, that's great. It's right dimensions or whatever. I'm just going to buy that." Well, she sat with it for a little while, and she's like, "I actually really don't like that table, and I
Yeah.
just dropped $200 on this table that I don't like." And we were having this conversation. It was like, I think a lot of people just grab the chips when they're hungry.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
like, let's just eat.
Yeah.
This is going to solve my problem for right now,
Yep.
but it's really not going to solve your problem long term. And it's really better to sit down and make the grocery list and do the meal planning,
Mhm.
and
And fuel
really
your body.
think about what you're doing, and
Mhm.
really think about what you're going to be doing for your home, and the changes you want to make, and the budget you want to spend, and make thoughtful decisions versus quick reactionary decisions.
Yeah, or like you were even saying also at the top of the show, to be like, well, I really liked this room, so can we just make it look like that, the one I saw on Pinterest or
Yeah,
Instagram? And it's like, well, what do you like about it? Just the fact that
sure.
yeah, I don't know. I think this is really, really interesting. So how do spaces actually affect us?
Um, in every way, in every way. I mean, just starting with light.
Mm,
We don't see anything without light.
yeah.
The temperature of the light, the amount of natural light that's coming in, that is a huge factor in how we're feeling about the space.
Yes.
Outside of that, what is in the space? What's filling it? Is it junk? Is it trash?
Mhm.
Are the things that you've collected from your travels?
Is it
Are they,
clutter?
or is it clutter?
Mhm.
Those kinds of things. Are there any other plants in this space? Fake or real?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There are some
It's
really nice
very
faux,
liberating to know.
very nice faux plants. Just dust them.
Yes.
That's
Oh my
just
God,
please, if
yes.
you're not watering them, just dust them
How
every
are
now
they
and then.
such a trap for dust? It's unbelievable
Well, we
though.
just forget about them.
Yes.
And it just happens.
Yes.
That is a red flag. That's
Yeah.
a fake plant.
Right.
So take care of things like that. Just the amount of things that are in the space too. How much more of your energy do you want to flow through the space, or how much do we want to, how much more do we want to fill in here?
Mhm.
And that's different for everyone. And I think that people really need to lean in more to what they want
Yeah.
versus what they think other people think they want.
Mhm.
So many people like, I want this kind of kitchen, or I want this kind of room. It's like, well, why?
Yeah.
Why do you love this room? Maybe it's not everything you think. It's actually the little details in this picture that is resonating for you. Because once
Ooh.
you like something
Yeah.
on Pinterest, or Instagram or whatever, that algorithm is just going to throw that kind of room at you all the time.
Yes.
Maybe you don't really like white kitchens. Maybe Pinterest just tells you like white kitchens.
Yeah.
Let's really think about what you want and get down to that. So we have several meetings with clients, but we have one dedicated just to getting to know the client. We have a battery of questions that we ask them depending on what rooms we're working on with them, and really getting down to why they want to do it, what the challenges they're really facing, how they really want it to look, and why.
Yeah.
And also just getting to know them. It just is a really, really crucial step in our process.
I love that. And I'm sure it also requires them to slow down, like you were saying,
Yeah.
with how do you tune in, like for them to tune in, to be like,
Yeah.
oh, I really have to think about the answers to this question. I have to slow down, which
Mm-hmm.
is such a gift no matter where you are in life. But I love that.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be intimidating because
Yeah.
sometimes I don't think many people have done that, and
Yeah.
I don't want to get all touchy feely with the interior designer, but here we are. See your things all over the house. Let's dive in. Let's
Let's,
really dive in, because
yes.
the most successful projects, the happier clients at the end, are those that really truly leaned in to what they wanted to do and really opened their heart to us,
Mm-hmm.
and are vulnerable,
Yes.
and we're vulnerable with them too, and helping them get to where they need to be. And it's just really a beautiful process when that happens.
When I got divorced, we were in this house and I wanted to keep this house for the kids so that they had some sort of consistency and they have neighborhood friends and all the things. But it was like a visceral, I had
Mm-hmm.
to redecorate.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, maybe it was the only form of control I could have when my whole life felt completely out of control or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. But I didn't touch the kids' rooms. I wanted them, if there are spaces, to stay consistent. But the whole first floor, and my bedroom's on the first floor, I was like, this all has to change.
Yeah.
And like, even from like, we sat at the kitchen table and that's where we told the kids that we were getting divorced.
Yeah.
You better believe I got a new kitchen table.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
and it was a rectangle table that was built for 6. Now it's a round table that I have 6 chairs for when we have company, but 5 sit at the chair.
Yeah.
So it's never, we're just looking at an empty seat.
Mm-hmm.
Just stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like more of like the using it to genuinely heal and be like, I don't ever look at that part of my kitchen anymore and think about that conversation.
Right.
I mean, it's also been a few years, but honestly, once we changed the table, now I just think about how do I gather with my kids around it. And when their dad comes over for birthdays and, Christmas and all the things, you better believe the 6th chair comes out and there's a spot for him.
Sure.
But that was like truly a huge change, just that little change, but just redecorating everything. And like, one, you kind of get to make it more your own style versus having to compromise with your husband, which is like no fun. Just kidding. He has good taste, but like, just to be like, this is just an expression of me. And like, it was just, I don't even think I could articulate probably yet that I was craving peace so desperately. But if I look at the design of my home now and the selections that I've made, and I had a friend who was a designer who came over and helped me with everything because I was like, I have no mental capacity.
Yeah.
Everything reflects peace.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this feels warm. This feels cozy. This feels peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like, I don't know. And it was life-saving.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you said it before, it was an expression of the both of you, and now it needs to be an expression of you.
Yeah.
And it is very empowering.
It was.
To be able to change things that, everything was changing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Why not that?
Yeah.
And there's so much emotion that come from things in our life.
Mm-hmm.
You go on vacation and you buy a souvenir, or you remember your prom dress, or, things like that. I mean, these things in our life really do matter to us.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, our home is not exclusive of that. So we have to be able to express ourselves in our home and feel comfortable in that. And if it's okay to change.
Yeah.
And just because you're going to buy a dining room table now that's circular doesn't mean you're not going to go back to another, it's okay. And design is also, I tell people, is like putting your finger in the middle of a river. It's always changing. It's always changing. There's not, it's good for now. And then we'll revisit that in a little while. It's life.
Yeah. So. And like, think of how many versions of ourselves we've been throughout our lives. Like you were saying, like your kids are sophomores and 8th graders about to be rising 9th and juniors. And like, it's like, oh God, you're going to, the empty nest is sort of in the horizon now.
Yeah, it
So like, you're like, okay, where
is.
before it's like, what nest? This thing is so full.
I
The inn is
know.
full. But
Yes.
like,
Yes.
maybe at that new life stage, you're like, oh, I just feel different. I want my house to
Mhm.
reflect that. I don't know. Do
Mhm.
you feel like you see that with people when like sort of life changes happen?
Oh yeah, there's not many clients that we work with that do not have children or a family, or pets, or things like that.
Yeah.
And things are ever evolving.
Yeah.
We work with a lot of people that where their kids, I feel like, are out of the Tasmanian devil phase a little.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay, now we're really ready
Yeah.
to invest in adult furniture.
Yes.
Half of this stuff is IKEA.
Mhm.
There's no shame in that.
No, because
I literally also have IKEA furniture in my home. It's
right.
okay.
It can take a joke.
It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Mhm.
So, it's just, there are so many things. But I want to encourage people, though, to not wait or put off
Hmm.
those kinds of things. If you're feeling like you walk into your house and it's like, "Ugh, I hate this so
Yeah.
much," or it's causing you stress,
Yeah.
or you just let's just work together to get that. You don't wait to make
Yeah.
yourself happy. And it doesn't really need to. You need to have a little bit of a budget, but it doesn't need to be a luxurious splurge on everything.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of technology now on fabrics that will hold up really, really well.
Bless that.
And if you spend just a little bit more on that sofa, it's going to hold up 10 times longer, actually. So
Yeah.
let's really think about where is a good place to invest, or let's really go to Target and buy this one thing that's,
Yeah.
it's totally fine. It's maybe more of a trendy piece, and save some money there. It's all very fluid and flexible. And I think sometimes people have pre preconceived notions about what it's like to work with a designer, or they feel intimidated by that process. But
Yeah.
we're really here to help you, and we're
Yeah.
really here to be your friend, and we want the best for you, and we want it to reflect you, and we want you to be happy and safe and calm in your house. So
Yeah. Like this
yeah.
should be fun and an
Yes, it
expression
should
of
be
yourself.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
we talk to people. We want you to enjoy this transformation. You
Yeah.
work really hard for this money, and you love your space, and we want you to enjoy this transformation. Whether it's big or small,
Yeah.
it's still a change, and we honor that. And everyone deserves it too.
Mhm.
I think that, it's like, well, I don't have any money, and I don't live in that great of a, it doesn't matter. Everybody deserves to live in a home that they love.
Yes.
Everyone.
Absolutely. And like you said, it doesn't have to break the bank to
No.
be a self-expression. Like,
No.
okay, so when you come in and you see people, so I'm thinking of the woman who's listening now who's like, oh, I really want transformation, but like, I don't even know where to start.
Mhm.
Where do you find around the mental health component specifically, do you feel like drives the biggest impact when you make change in someone's home?
That is a great question. I think that we need to start thinking about what is in the space first,
Oh, interesting.
or what room is stressing you out the most.
Totally.
I mean,
Is there a particular room that people are like, this one? Is it the mudroom?
Yes.
Mhm.
And I actually, people
Asking
don't.
for a friend.
Yes. And I don't think a lot of people, I think people overlook that space because usually it's a smaller room,
It's my ground zero.
or they think it's like too far gone to be helped or something.
Mhm.
And not to be too dramatic, but I mean, it's life changing to
Yes.
have an organized, nicely, like nice aesthetics and everything in the house, because it is the one room sometimes in the home that you leave, the last room that you see of your home,
Yeah.
and the first one that you see when you walk in.
Yes.
Shouldn't that be a pleasant space?
Yes.
You know?
And it can be
It
beautiful.
can.
I know.
It can.
Mine is too small. And I was like, I mean, I would give up half my garage
Yeah.
if my
And
mudroom.
we've done that.
Yeah.
We've expanded these spaces for people if they have the space in the
Yeah.
garage to take from.
Yeah.
One of our designers that work for us, she's like, I wish I could just do mudrooms.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Way to niche down.
Yeah. She's
You
like,
be a
let's
mudroom
just do powder
specialist.
rooms and mudrooms.
Yes.
Always.
Ooh.
Because they are also areas that you can have a little more fun in.
Totally.
Because
Yeah.
they are truly your space.
Yeah.
Or can bring on some fun conversation, a conversation starter for parties and things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel like I'd be like, let me show you my mudroom.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. I think it's undervalued.
Yeah.
It's where you do the laundry, and it's
It
where
is.
you do all the things, but it doesn't have to be a torture chamber.
No, I know. It's currently the house for my mini piles, for the
Yeah.
library books that need to be returned, for, the 4 to 5 backpacks, because why does someone always have to have a second backpack in the rotation somewhere?
I
Like,
know.
I know.
Backup.
Back. I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever, man.
But everybody has these spaces, going
Yeah.
back to like,
Yeah.
okay, we don't live in a magazine,
Right.
and we need to have spaces that are functional for us.
Yes.
And if you do have the library piles and the backpacks, like, let's put areas in
Yeah.
these spaces for these things
Yes.
to be in them.
Yeah.
And make these things work for us.
Totally.
You know, why are we such a slave to, you
Right.
know, this life, and we don't have to be.
No, you don't. And you can totally make it your own. Like,
Yeah.
the thing that brings me the most peace is to organize. So like,
Yes.
I'm like, this is a section for this. This is the section for this. I
Yeah.
also work with professional organizers when I feel too overwhelmed to do it myself.
Yes.
And it is like,
It's awesome.
yeah, it's life-changing.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So mudroom, what other spaces, if people are like, I do feel like, or like, I want to update my home. It's feeling a little out of date. I feel like I could express myself differently, but like, where do I start? I feel like I would need to do the whole home. Where do I start that gives sort of the biggest bang for the buck?
That is a great question, because it can be very overwhelming when you think about, you know, that proverbial thread that you start pulling.
Totally.
You know, it's like, well, I have to do this and I got to change this.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people went all in on the gray.
Yeah, totally.
Like during COVID, maybe.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody was tired of
light
whatever.
gray.
Yeah. Everyone had the light gray.
Mhm.
So I think changing the paint color.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Start there.
Yeah.
Most people, it's just a fresh coat of paint. And then I think once you start doing that, then you're like, okay, now this is real. This is now bugging me. And that's okay to take it in phases too.
Yeah.
To do everything all at once can be very overwhelming emotionally and financially. And then we don't really suggest anybody doing that unless they are really gung-ho and ready, like they're fully committed.
Yeah.
But there's like some conversations that have to happen before we, you know, do all that. But just taking it slow. I do try to encourage people to do, maybe concentrate on one area or one room at a time. Because if you do pepper your energy and money around the house, you don't really see that full impact.
Ooh, that makes sense.
So
I never would have thought it, but it makes total sense.
Yeah. So like, if you wanted to start with maybe your bedroom, or a lot of people like to do gathering spaces first, because that's where all their friends and family are coming over. And again, are you doing this for you, or are you doing this for other people?
Yep.
Or trying to stay up on the top of the thing, you know,
right, the latest
keeping
magazine.
up with the neighbors or whatever.
Yeah.
So just really ask yourself those kinds of questions, I think. And it's okay to not make any changes right away, and just to really think about it and make a pros and cons list, or jot down or journal about it, or, you know, what is really going to make the impact. I don't know. You know, the answer really is inside of each client.
It makes total sense.
And it's different for everyone.
I was just thinking about, like, I was never aware enough to realize that I kind of attach different emotions to different parts of my home. Like this room, and like the green room, that, you know, this outside room is really like where I feel like I'm so connected to these amazing women. It's empowering and it feels feminine, and like it's connection and warm. But like, I always joke with my kids. So like, I have 3 boys and 1 girl who can keep up with 3 boys, and everyone wants to hang out in my bedroom all the time. I'm like, this is my Zen zone. All the wrestling needs to go elsewhere, because this is my Zen zone. And so they're always like, I know, Zen zone.
Fun.
But I'm like, and so like, I protect my peace very much so in my bedroom. But like, when I think about the kitchen, it's for like dance parties and gathering and like, you know, so I don't think I ever realized, but there's definitely different vibes per room.
For sure. For sure. I bet they want to lean in your bedroom just because they feel your energy there.
Totally.
You know?
I'm like, but did you not pick up on the peaceful part?
It probably looks like you the most.
Yeah,
too,
it does.
You know?
Yeah. And you know, like we're still like, we're a very snuggly family, and my little guys are still like, I'm holding on tight. I'm smothering them with all my might. Absolutely. Because my older 2 are middle schoolers. So they sort of like, they love their room. And when my little guys, they just want to climb in my bed, and they think I have the coziest bed with the millions of pillows.
Because you do.
I do. I really do. Totally. Yeah. But also, everybody wants to use my shower. I was like, you have showers. Do we? I mean,
it's probably the most luxurious.
It is. Yeah. It is. So I'm like, this is my Zen zone, but which they like relatively respect. And then it gets wild, and I'm like, Zen zone, and either they chill out or go somewhere else. But I was just thinking about that relative to like, okay, if I were going to want to start somewhere in my home, and I was like, yeah, you know what I do, like, the vibe is feeling off for me here. Like, I almost would want to ask myself, like, how do you want to feel in this room? What is this room for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then to be like, okay, then you make the choices that kind of reflect that intention versus,
Yeah.
I saw this really cool bedroom and I really just want to recreate that. And it's like, well, why? What would it feel like if you lived in that
Right.
space?
And we can do that,
Yeah,
but
totally.
I'm not sure that you're going to feel very connected to it. So let's
Mm-hmm.
do something that you're going to feel really connected to. And I also like it when people use spaces in their homes that traditionally aren't really for that use.
Oh,
So for
cool.
example, a dining room.
Yeah.
We never have people in our dining
No, it's
room.
shipping, receiving.
Yes, exactly. What do we do this? What do we make it into? Do we make it into a yoga area? Do
Oh,
we?
cool.
We just had a client. We transferred her dining room into a gym.
I love that.
We do it all the time for toy rooms, playrooms,
Mm-hmm.
offices.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of home office needs now that are not served because homes weren't built with offices.
No. Yeah.
Prior to COVID. So that's always a need. I like it when people, and this is now a podcasting room. I mean,
Yes.
so you have to use your house
Yeah.
the way that you need to use it. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people are doing their basements now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of square footage down there
Yeah.
that people aren't tapping into. So, what do you want to do in your basement? What kind of hobbies do you have? Do you want a yoga studio in your basement? Do you want, let's get creative.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's all kinds of things that people can do that I think that they just don't really, they're not,
Right.
it's not a traditional idea.
And like you were saying, like, and our home is often where we are, maybe just you and I are similar in this way. We're either running the marathon or we're passed out cold on the couch,
Yes,
but like
yes.
there's just, and our brains are turned off in two really different directions of off
Yeah.
in both of those spaces.
Yes. Yeah.
Both of those moments in life. But like to slow up and be like, okay, this really is where I am the most.
Mm-hmm.
What do I want it for? Like, I really don't use I really truly use my
Mm-hmm.
dining room for shipping and receiving
Mm-hmm.
until it's Christmas or Easter. But it also has my grandparents' dining furniture in there, which is a nice connection to them. But
Absolutely.
like,
Yeah. And you don't want to get rid of that.
yeah, but I love the idea of being like, but seriously, you could use this room for anything. It's like your job question to be like,
Yeah.
if you could do anything, what would
Yeah.
it really be?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We do try to ask people that.
I
Yeah.
love that. Are you like me and taking at least an hour to plan your meals every week and then to grocery shop on top, only to find out that I throw away half of it because I didn't have it in me to season and chop and prep night after night? It's so embarrassing and I feel awful about it. Are you also like me and worry about if any of the things I buy are healthy enough for me and the family? Well, let me tell you about Hungry Root. Hungry Root is my partner for healthy living. Hungry Root helps me save time, save money, I shop sustainably, and I eat what makes me feel my absolute best. Their mission is to make it easier for more people to eat healthy and feel great every day. Some of my very favorite aspects of Hungry Root are healthy meals in 10 minutes or less. I mean it. No chopping, no seasoning, ever. They do it all for you. Honestly, full stop, this is my very, very favorite thing. Every meal is so easy to put together. Often they have steamer bags for vegetables and all sorts of great microwave options too. They also give you healthy snacks and pantry supplies my kids and I both love. They're whole, trusted ingredients, which makes me feel like a great mom because I actually know that I'm putting good things in the pantry and in the fridge. Personalized recommendations based on your goals. Mine is heart healthy, and it ships to me on my schedule. The best part is also less food waste. No more throwing food out each week, which feels amazing. All you have to do is take their super simple quiz and share your preferences, goals, must-haves, and they'll recommend a plan for you and just fill your fridge with food you love. You could be like me and let them surprise you with meals each week, or you can go in and adjust each week before they actually send it to you. And let me tell you, they love your feedback. This is the one thing I actually do. I'll go in there and I'll tell them to send me more of a certain meal or less of a certain snack because we didn't really care for it. One simple click and your order is adjusted. Hungry Root is so much more than a meal kit. They send full-size groceries, which is so much better than pre-portioned package you get with your meal kits. Honestly, couldn't be happier. Use your code WriteYourOwnStory40 for 40% off your first delivery plus a free gift for life. Use code WriteYourOwnStory40 or just click the link in the show notes for 40% off your first delivery plus a free gift for life. 40% off is huge. The free gift for life promotion is a choice of free cookie dough for life, free veggies for life, or free protein for life. For life means the length of your subscription. Honestly, guys, I love Hungry Root so much. It saves my butt every single week, and I could not recommend it enough. Don't forget, use the code WriteYourOwnStory40 or just click the link in the show notes. Okay, so it sounds like if people are like, okay, I kind of want to try this notion of like but it's summertime and the kids are going to be home and maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready yet. It's like, think about lighting and
Mm-hmm.
paint color
Mm-hmm.
and really sitting with your room and being like, what do I need? What do I
Mm-hmm.
want? Where do I want to start?
Yep.
This is very cool. And I really this is so eye opening because I really had never connected my home to my mental health. I was like, I just think about the work you do on your mental health, but not
Yeah.
the environment that you're in. But it's
Yeah.
like doing yoga.
Well, and people go to the gym to
Yeah.
feel better, and they go to trainers to get to
Mm-hmm.
that level of fitness a little bit faster. And I think that's what designers really should be doing. I
Yeah.
think that most everybody that I know that is designing definitely helps their clients, and they're great designers.
Yeah.
And I think that people need to think about, eating healthy and going to the gym are really important things to do, but also surrounding yourself with spaces that also make you feel good about yourself and mentally calm and support mental health is really important. Because if you, especially as a mother,
Mm-hmm.
are fulfilled and you're feeling good in that mudroom that is finally organized and beautiful, you're going to probably have a better day or evening with your kids at the end of the day, right? So,
Yes.
I mean, it really also affects not only your mental health,
Mm-hmm.
but the relationships that you have with the other people in the home and their mental health. And then your mental health and cortisol levels translates to your physical health.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like a domino effect,
It
you
really
know?
is. It
Yeah.
really, really is. And I just sometimes, to your point, we're just moving so fast that you don't even
Yeah.
realize that. But
Yeah.
you're like, just slow down and be like, you know what? Because I did take the time to get organized or make the space what I want to be, I really genuinely do feel better.
Right.
But I love how there's so much intention to your process of like your intake form and really just like the various meetings to get to know. And like, I think that really dials people in and tunes people in to be like, okay, actually, yes, like all of this is true.
Mm-hmm.
I love that so much.
Yeah. And we have some clients too that are moving into new homes
Yeah.
and things like that. And they want to change that home before they live there. And I'm all for that. I
Yeah.
think that that's totally fine. Sometimes it's nice also just to live in the space just for a moment, to really feel its energy.
Mhm.
Things that you think are going to bother you when you move in actually don't. And there are
Ooh.
other things that really bother you.
Mhm.
We were just working with a client who they had just closed on the house. They hadn't moved in yet, and they wanted us to redo their basement. And we're working on their basement right now. It's under construction. But it's funny, as soon as they moved in, she's like, we got to have the kitchen. I cannot do this. The sink is driving me nuts. This layout is not right.
Yeah.
But you don't know that
Yeah.
until you actually live in the home
Yeah.
for a minute to really understand the complexities of the home and, the ins and outs. So
Yeah.
it's nice also to get to know your space,
Mm.
and really think about that before you pull any triggers.
Right. Big money.
Yeah.
Especially if construction is involved.
Yeah.
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 I know. And then I was thinking about kitchens too. Kitchens are something where like I was just thinking about my kitchen. I was like, I would love to just like refresh this for the sake of that just sounds fun and creative and whatever. But I'm also like, I don't want to buy new counters and new cabinets. And like,
Yeah.
if someone ever just wants to do like refreshing, is
Mhm.
that an option?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we work with a lot of contractors that just paint cabinetry, but it's tricky to find a really good contractor to be able to do that because if you paint the cabinetry, there's some processes that you should go through that the contractor needs to take to make sure that it's not going to chip and wear over time in a different way. It needs to almost feel like a cabinet finish from the factory. So that's important to do your homework on the contractors that you're calling.
Yeah.
However, we do that often. Changing the backsplash and the countertops is a really easy way of being able to just give a little bit of a facelift to otherwise kind of, maybe it's too dark. It's really easy to lighten up a kitchen in that way, or just add something a little bit more your personality to the backsplash so there's always levels of things that we can do to make sure that we're serving you the best. Yeah.
Well, because I was just thinking about that relative to sort of like, how do you feel in your space? Like, and what made me think of it when you were like, you just move in. So when we moved into this house, my twins were 8 months old and I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Oh.
So it was just like, I think if there was nails and we were like, something goes there and something truly. And so, and I love my kitchen. It's big and it holds the whole family and I can entertain in it, but like, I've never really done much to the design of it. And I was like, that would be fun to just feel like it was more of an expression of me.
Yes.
but like
Yeah.
functionally it works well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but I've never thought about the kitchen because that is a very heads down space for me. I'm unloading the dishwasher. I'm feeding 4 people or 5
Mm-hmm.
people,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just one of those things when you were saying, I was like, it is one of those spaces that I've lived in now for 8 years. And I'm like, I kind of would like that to feel a little bit more Betsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can totally do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. These are really eye-opening and like, it's not even from a design thing. It's like a self-expression thing.
For sure.
And I love that.
Sure.
Then like,
Yeah.
and then it makes you excited to like trot into your kitchen and unload the dishwasher because you're like, look how cute this kitchen is.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like when you get a new outfit, how great you feel.
Totally. You're like,
It's
I am a new person.
Yeah. I didn't even know I was feeling bad. And now this is awesome.
I
But
also feel that way about a spray tan.
Oh,
Life-changing.
oh, yes.
Life-changing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, actually, I am a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. Like, no, I just got a tan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's gone in 6 days.
Yeah. I mean, changing your house doesn't need to be complicated or scary.
Yeah.
And it's all about having the confidence, I think. I think a lot of people hire us just so that we're like, yes, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And that's okay too.
No, but I feel like there's yes,
there's so many choices.
You bring so much to the table. And I know you know this, but like, when I think about the value of working with someone like you, it's like, one, not only are you causing me to like slow down and think about what I want and like make this a much more enjoyable, choiceful, intentional, but like you then bring all this knowledge to like what any of us don't even know is possible.
Well, I think it's the same for me too. I think our homes we are so emotionally tied to our houses and the spaces that we live in. And it's so hard to take that 10,000 foot view. And it's really nice to have a professional come in and say, actually because you've never thought about it before, because you've only known it one way. And it's really nice to have somebody come in and just nudge you in the right direction sometimes. And that's totally fine. Yeah. We're just so emotionally attached.
And you've
things.
collected all of this like quote unquote data in all these other spaces. You're like, you probably didn't even know that this fix was possible for natural light or for, whatever it is. I just think that like, I don't know, there's just so much value. And I love the perspective of like, okay, yes, this looks amazing, but most importantly, how does this make you feel?
Yeah. And is it functional?
Yeah.
Is this really happening? Is it really fun? I mean, AI right now is off the charts.
Yeah.
I
How
mean,
is that
it's
affecting
insane.
your business?
Well, I think it, in a couple ways it is. And sometimes people will see a photograph or an image and this happened the other day. We were in a meeting and it's like, well, why is the faucet? The faucet can't go there because the plumbing and there's this is an AI generated photo.
Yeah,
So
like, this is not
this is not really going to happen. And so I will say that we also use AI. And everybody does.
Sure, same.
It's definitely it helps get us to maybe a point in the process a little faster. But I will say it's just a very small fraction of the process. It's really about the connection that we're making with people, and it does help with communication of ideas.
Totally.
So that's helpful.
Yeah.
But in terms of actually making it then happen, you need people. You need skilled professionals, contractors, everyone involved to really make it happen. So AI is fine. It's great, but there's that unrealistic expectation sometimes that we're really trying to get away from.
Yeah.
But it has its place.
Right.
So I don't hate it.
Right. It drives efficiencies in my business.
For sure.
But I also like, it makes it, from a marketer's perspective, it's like, you don't just like hit an AI button and you're just like, your sales funnel is like quadrupled or something like that. It's not like you're like, oh, I'm just going to throw my kitchen idea in AI and then it's going to magically appear in my kitchen.
Right.
You're like, oh, silly goose.
Right.
Far from.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's just not even practical.
Yeah.
But it does help, like I said, to communicate the vision or communicate someone. It's like, well, I found this photo and it picture does say 1,000 words. So, there's some value in it, but we don't hang our hat on it for sure.
No. And like, to your point, and like kind of is bringing us back home, is like, the reality is that this is like your most intimate emotional space that you're going to ever experience. It's your home. And so like having that personal touch and really using the process to connect to that. And how does that make you feel is something that any technology could never do. Really. This is a very personal, like you said, it's different, but for everybody. And you just get to be like the consistent conduit and like collect all this great information and bring this to other people. And I think it is Super cool.
It's so rewarding. It's
Yeah.
so fulfilling to have clients not only love the outcome, but also the process. And I think it's a little bit
Yeah.
of a discovery journey for them
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And it's always really nice to see that light bulb go on, or the, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could have that, or I could do that. It's just the best feeling to also then have clients take pictures of their kids in these spaces on their birthdays and say,
Mm.
I love this space so much. Look at our family can fit in here now. And
I have goosebumps.
it's just like we're a part of them. They're
Yeah.
their lives. And it's the coolest thing. So many clients become friends, and
Yeah.
you really get to know them. It's a little bit of a marriage for a
Right. You're
minute.
like, we're married now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, we're here.
Yeah. We're married.
Why weren't I invited to the party?
I
You
know.
know,
You're like,
why wasn't I there?
uh-huh.
But it's a really cool journey that we get to take with these with our clients and our friends, and see where they end up on the other end. And it's just really a rewarding, fulfilling business that we've created. So it's cool.
I'm so thrilled to hear that, and I am so happy for you that you made that pivot.
Thanks.
That has been one of the common themes of this show. Like, as I sort of, talk about like collecting data, of listening to people's stories and finding these common threads,
Mm.
these pivots in people's lives where they've either made the decision in your choice or it's been made for them have turned out to be so for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I love this for you. You can, like, you are radiating how happy you
Oh,
are
thanks.
doing this.
Thank
And like,
you.
yeah, no, I genuinely mean it. And I'm
Thank
like, that makes
you.
me so excited for you. And I really do feel like this conversation has been such an eye opener for me. And I know for listeners to be like, instead of being like, my house isn't cool enough or cute enough or clean enough or whatever enough,
Mm.
like, I think one of the other things that we've touched on that is another data point I continue to collect is that like my biggest red flag in life is the word should.
Yes.
If you say should, if I say, it's like it keeps my own self accountable for my own thoughts. If I
Yeah.
say should, I'm like, oh girl, you're in trouble. We
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't. And I think that, this notion of rewriting your own story and writing your own rules, your house that is so solely yours.
Yeah.
That is so a reflection. You get to write all the rules.
Yeah.
This should not be for the 5% of the time you're entertaining your family. This should
Right.
be how you feel in it every single day.
Yeah.
So I really feel like we have, and like we were talking about off camera, really given people the permission to like take off the perfect hat, take
Yeah.
off the like, the Architectural Digest hat and the Sports Illustrated swimsuit model hat, and like figure out what your version of that is. Like what feels good,
Yeah.
what brings peace, like
Yeah.
what feels real to you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what you should be striving for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we all should be doing that. Just not only in our homes too, just
Yes.
about our personalities and our
Uh-huh.
our clothing. I mean, just all of our self expression, avenues should just be truly more authentic.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what we really try to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. This has been so fun.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I think so too.
Okay. So if people want more from you, how can we
Yeah.
get more information? And I think like you also lend this perspective. It sounds like you have a newsletter that is really dialing up that like,
yeah, we're really excited about
yeah,
that.
tell us more about that and how we can connect.
Yeah, so we have an option on our website to sign up for our newsletter. My team and I have been working really hard on coming up with a newsletter, not that is just, all. It's not going to be fluff. We really do want to give a lot of tips and tricks.
Love
There's
that.
a little bit of that, but we want it to be more nutritious, more of a meaty bite.
Yeah.
It's
I love
not
that.
just like a swipe
Yeah.
through.
Uh-huh.
We want a newsletter that is going to sit in your inbox for a couple of days because you just like you want to get back to it again.
Totally.
You want to read more,
Yeah.
or you want to read it again.
Yeah.
So we're working on that right now. Of course, we're on Instagram,
Yeah.
and we have a studio right now on Plainville Road on the edge of
Ooh.
Marymount.
Yeah.
We've been there a year, and we love it so much. It's like our own little house. Our little team
Totally.
created our home together, so it's really nice. And we're always happy to talk to people about what they're doing. We have lots of different kinds of services. We have anything from full service to just concept only. If you need a nudge in the right direction, we do that. We're there to help you build a new home. So we really can do anything. We're very capable,
Yeah.
And willing to help anyone meet them where their needs are.
Yeah.
And not, help them, make them fit into a box or anything like that. So, and just inspiration. So
I love that. I love that so much. Jackie, this has been an absolute
Oh,
privilege.
thanks.
I feel so peaceful right now. I'm like, I just feel like I'm just snuggled right up.
Good, good.
I hope that you guys have definitely taken away the notion of like, let's just forget about what our houses should like and really make it a reflection of our authentic self and how we want to feel, which I think is so inspiring in a less of, oh my God, I need to update my home to like, oh my gosh, I really do want to make those like subtle changes
Yeah.
for me.
Right.
And I love that. So I know that this episode has hit home for so many people. So I hope people are sharing it and just to be like, you guys, this is a cool, interesting concept. I've never thought about it this way, which is why I was so excited to connect with you. So thank you
Great.
so much for your
Thank you.
perspective.
Thanks for the opportunity. It's really nice to share our story with you. So thank you.
Wednesdays are my favorite. I
Yeah,
love this. It is such a
great.
gift. So truly.
Great.
All right, you guys. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Well, that's the end of this episode, but promise me, you won't stop here with whatever it is you're feeling or dreaming about. I hope you leave today feeling empowered to live life just as you see fit. If this podcast was helpful to you, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. I genuinely just want to help women live the life they dream about. So if this type of content tracks with you, subscribe to this podcast or visit our website, writeyourOwnstory.co, to download digital courses or to grab a journal and a mug to just dream in and dream with. It's your life, lady. Do you. And just remember, I'm rooting for you and you've totally got this.